Welcome to Take This TV, the television book club podcast where each week we watch an episode or two of our favorite shows and talk about it with our friends in the fandom. That's you. I'm Carmen Erin, and I'm joined today by the one and only America's best friend, Erin Fusco. Hello.
Hello. I'm happy to be here. Happy to be a friend and be in the fandom.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So what are we watching and what are we talking about today?
We're switching gears and we're gonna no, I'm just kidding. This is the finale episode. We're talking about the finale of season 1 of one of my favorite shows, Wynonna Earp. So if you are just joining us for the first time, this is your first episode, welcome. Have you watched the whole season? Because we're gonna be doing a lot of spoiling.
Spoilers, 100%.
For those of you who have stuck with us for this entire season, welcome back. Very excited to have you. For anyone who needs to just pause this episode, pause it right here, go watch an entire 13-episode season, come on back. Oh, then you also have to pause every 2 episodes to listen to us talk about them, and then press play on this episode, get back in here, because we're talking about the finale.
Oh, yeah. It sounds like a lot, but it's worth it.
It's only 13 episodes, and they're about 45 minutes each, and you can just speed through that in a weekend. Do you know what I'm saying? Or you could carefully parcel them off like we did, so we didn't binge watch, and we could talk about them. Because even after only watching 2 episodes, sometimes it's hard to remember what happened.
It is, and it's hard to not just keep watching.
Yes.
It was hard to, stop.
The finale episode, we left off on a cliffhanger, and I'm going to now read to you my favorite part of the episode, the Netflix summary. Shout out to all of the people who write summaries about television episodes. Episode 13. The Peacemaker goes missing. After Bobo places a bounty on Wynonna's head, she faces a heartbreaking choice in her quest to take down the Revenants.
So John Cena goes missing. And
you know, someone said to me the other day, and they were like, I think the Peacemaker's nominated for an Emmy. And I literally sat there and I was like, what? And they were like, John Cena? And I was like, was that show also called Peacemaker? They were like, yeah. I was like, sorry, I'm rewatching Wynonna Earp and her gun's called Peacemaker. And I just, for the life of me, could not connect the fact that they were both named for the same thing.
So, episode 13, before we jump into what happened in the episode, you know we got to do
Carmen's favorite part of the episode.
It's up there. I don't know if I'd say favorite. I think hanging out with my friend and talking about shows is my favorite.
Oh, that's me.
In the Thirst Tracker. It is you. So, yes, let's recap the Thirst Tracker for everybody.
So at the top of the Thirst Tracker, so as we come here to the end of season 1, these are Carmen's ratings as I have abstained because I know what ships are canon, what are not. At the top, at 2 trillion Googleplex out of 5 Thirst, we have Way Hot. Would you like to amend that in any way?
Yeah, we can go ahead and bump it up to 5 trillion.
5 trillion, yeah, 5 trillion Googleplex out of 5. Yeah, that sounds fair. I'll just read the rest and then we can dive into them deeper. Then we have Wynonna and Dolls, which started out so strong. I believe it was Vanilla Chocolate Swirl was what you did in a whole dance. That started out pretty strong, and last week it was 0 out of 5.
Not a good look. It's trouble in
Listen,
paradise.
well, I want to hear all your ratings, but I'm just going to say the rest of them. Wynonna and Doc, 10 out of 5 Thirst. Wyatt and Doc, which we put on here because we think it's funny. You had 2 ? Out of 5. And then Bobo and Willa, you had child grooming -5 million out of 5.
First things first, for Bobo and Willa, we got to bring the child grooming down to -100 million out of 5.
Yeah, that's fair.
After this episode. Because yikes. That's all we're going to say about that.
Honestly, we briefly touch on, people bring it up, and Bobo's like, no. Nothing happened until she was an adult. I'm like, okay, boy, that's fine. Just doesn't make it better, but okay.
But he's talking to Waverly in the cabin, and she's like, you kidnapped a 13-year-old girl, and emphasizes the 13-year-old, and Bobo's like, no, I was good to her.
He was like, I didn't let anyone touch her, and I told everyone she was dead, and I isolated her from every single person who cared about her. Don't worry about it.
Yikes, dude. So for Wyatt and Doc, Wyatt's not in this episode.
We barely mention him, except for the part when Wynonna goes WWWD. What would Wyatt do?
Yes, and then Doc tells a story about his dog.
Yeah, and it was not really about Wyatt, huh?
He said Wyatt offered to put the dog down for him. That's going to bump us up to 4 question mark.
4 question mark out of 5. Okay.
Look, that's like top tier partner stuff right there. Of like,
I'll
hey,
kill your dog.
let me hold your pain for you.
Let me kill your dog. Hey,
I'll
kill your dog for you.
Let me kill your dog. Can I kill that dog?
Hey, I can see that this is really hard for you. Can I kill that dog? No, obviously it was a kind gesture where he said, "Yeah, I don't want you to have to kill the dog you love. I will do it for you." But hey, girl, can I kill that dog?
That's your holiday greeting card. Hey, girl, can I kill that dog?
It's my opening on Hinge. Hey, girl, can I kill that dog? Gender neutral. I will send it to anyone. They don't like it. It's usually unmatched.
No days, no matches. Next up, we got Wynonna and Doc. We said 10 out of 5 last time, just because we're bumping everybody up and down. I think Wynonna and Doc, 12 out of 5.
Oh, okay.
Doc, like when the season first started, I really wasn't about Doc. Doc has grown on me so much.
You really did a 180 on him.
Yeah, I loved him. I think I probably need to take some time to think about the moment where I fell in love with Doc.
I bet if we go back through these episodes, we could find the moment you fell in love with Doc.
Probably. Point it out to us on socials if you know from what we've been talking about. And then let's get into it. Wynonna and Dolls. So I love a chocolate vanilla swirl.
You have a dance for it and everything.
Yeah, get it. Get the swirl. Everybody loves the swirl. So, yes, you're welcome. But the thing is, Dolls is kind of a bad dude in more ways than one. But I will say, this is about to be a journey I'm about to take you on. He was nice to Wynonna in this episode. That bumps it up to a 1 out of 5. He killed Wynonna's... Well, he didn't kill. He shot Willa for Wynonna because she was struggling with it. And he didn't want her to die. Hey, girl, can I kill your dog? Let me get your sister while I'm at it. So that bumps him up to 2 out of 5.
Interesting.
However, past transgressions shan't be forgotten. So for his past transgressions, it takes away 2 out of 5. And now he's back at 0, and he's starting fresh. He's paid for his past transgressions. Thirst tracker is reset. You have a chance to redeem yourself. I will say the kiss in the last episode, I think we talked about a little bit. I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
It wasn't that big of a deal. But
so we kind of get a mirror of it a little bit here as well. When they kissed last episode, it pans over and Doc's there, right? Like they kiss and all of a sudden that's Doc's big return. He watched it happen. He's right there. And then we also kind of get that here where close to the end of the episode, Willa has died and Wynonna has crossed back over with Peacemaker. And she kind of falls to the right. She slides in.
The longest baseball slide in history.
Yeah, the longest baseball slide. And immediately Doc runs over to her and checks her face and she leans her head on him and he holds her as they're both on the ground. And you just see in the background dolls looming over them. And so you kind of get that mirror reverse of that situation where he saw them kiss just the episode before, but when it comes to who is concerned for her and who is taking care of her here in this moment where she's vulnerable, Dolls is the one looking on.
I know it's probably not going to happen, but I feel like I would be super happy if they were a throuple.
The ideal shape.
The ideal shape of the triangle. Form the triangle.
In most situations, the ideal outcome for a love triangle is polyamory.
Look, I mean, Dolls and Doc are starting to love each other. They're rivals to lovers is happening. And I know that this is probably just me projecting now, but Dolls and Wynonna is physical attraction, all that kind of stuff, the physical aspect of it. And then Doc and Wynonna is the emotional aspect of it. Everybody's needs are getting met. That's my case to the writers of this show that's already over.
Yeah, okay, well, I guess tweet at them.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Hey, just discovered Wynonna Earp. Have you considered ending it with a throuple?
But yeah, I'm back neutral with Dolls. He's paid for his transgressions.
Starting
his
fresh.
Man pain at the end there. We'll get into that later. But okay, so let's talk about what happened. So first of all, I was cracking up. I had to pause it. I was laughing so hard. When the episode starts and Wynonna and Dolls and Doc are in the ballroom And then Doc pulls out his gun and just shoots somebody.
Shoots a man, yeah.
Yeah, and Wynona's like, you can't shoot people, Doc. I was laughing so hard because I was like, Doc is the devilish rogue. I feel like if Dolls did that, it'd be like, whoa, this is bad. But if Doc does it, it's like, oh, he's so charming.
You
that man's
rascal.
dead, but he's charming.
I do feel like he aimed low, so I do think he shot a leg, if I'm being honest.
Oh, yeah, he's just crippled.
It feels like he crippled someone. But Wynonna immediately is like, don't shoot them.
I thought that was a nice moment. And also them throwing her out of the window together. I thought
oh my God.
Cute.
When it comes to Wynonna, they are so willing to work together. Like, it is adorable.
Yeah, it's amazing. I loved their little mini adventure. And I also loved the like build up to it over the season. It wasn't just like, oh, immediately we both love this woman, so we're friends, or we get along.
Oh, no.
And it's like they're actually building a relationship with one another separate from Wynonna, which is nice.
Yeah, and we watched that push and pull sort of like as they had gone on their mini adventures earlier this season, too, of like them figuring out what their relationship is when they're alone in a room together. And honestly, most of the time, it's rescuing Wynonna. Like, it is still about Wynonna.
Which I'm okay with that. I gotta say, that scene with Bobo and with Willa at the beginning of the episode is rough. I gotta say, like, I know we talked about the, like, camp and how camp is a good thing. I feel like this is one of those moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, like, the writing felt like a lot in that moment. I think she said something like, we have time for a quickie or something like that. And I'm like, what?
I didn't write it down because I didn't want to remember it. But yeah, she was basically like, we have sex now, then we escape, and then everyone burns. And he was like, yeah, okay, but we can do that after we escape. Escape first.
Yeah. And then like when they were walking together, I forget what she said. And he's like, I make up for it in other places. And I'm like, ugh, dude. I was not about that. I'm not about their relationship at all. I liked the idea of Willa sort of being the Lancer character to Wynonna, but I feel like she broke bad really fast.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I wasn't really about...
I feel like they didn't really want her around.
Wonder why. Like, sometimes on these kind of shows, sometimes I'm always like, ooh, what's the tea? Like, was there something that happened?
It feels intentional. I don't know. I guess we could look up what the tea is, but it feels intentional where they're like, we want Willa to come back, but we want this to be a story about Wynonna being the hero and not about Willa also being able to wield Peacemaker, so we also have to write her out pretty quickly. It felt intentional in that way to me.
Her days were numbered because the show's called Wynonna Earp. So, but I mean, it was like, is she going to just give it up? Is she going to retire? Are they going to be partners? Is she going to die?
And everyone is trying to make it very clear, like, whatever came back, that's not Willa. Like, whoever this person is now, Willa's already gone. This is a different person. Because even Bobo recognizes that. Who talks to him? I literally just watched this.
Was it Waverly? Oh, no, he talked to Jose.
Yes. It's Juan Carlo.
Jesus? Yeah. Juan Carlo.
Yes, okay,
Sorry.
yes.
I was thinking Jesus because he said JC, and he was like, same initials, wrong dude.
When he talks to him, and he's like, you know Willa is wrong right now. Something broke in her, and she's no longer who she should be. He's like, yeah, but I'll fix that later. I recognize this.
I can fix her.
Bobo. The problem is I'm so conflicted because I really like Bobo. Like, there's a lot of stuff that Bobo does. First of all, I think he's a great villain for this season. And then I just love, like, him talking to Juan Carlo. You realize that they have more of a relationship and you don't fully know what that is. Bobo says, like, he's not allowed to interfere, but he's, like, respectful of him. He doesn't attack him or anything, even though Juan Carlo is trying to be like, what you're doing is a mistake. And then later when he sees Waverly too, he's like, this seems bad, but it'll free you also. Even in that first scene too, when Willa realizes that Peacemaker is missing, he's like, did Wynonna take it? And she's like, no, she's too dumb. And he's like, don't underestimate her. And then he's like, what about Waverly? And she's like, what about Waverly? And he's like, she's very perceptive. She might have noticed something was wrong. Like, Bobo defends the sisters when Willa is, like, ready to dismiss them.
I think that Bobo is an intelligent villain, and I was on board with Bobo being a good villain, but they lost me with the Willa thing. That was too much. Their relationship could have been a nice, tragic story if she was a willing adult. The story could have been exactly the same if they just, like, maybe the Stone Witch took her, and then Bobo saved her when she was an adult, and they fell in love. Why does it have to be this weird child grooming thing? So I don't know. They completely lost me on Bobo when that happened. I was like, I'm done with his ass. That is gross and weird, and I'm not about that. So I think that I see what you're saying, though. Of like, he's like a smart villain that challenges the heroes in a way that they can't just solve with their fists. And that's really interesting.
And he has had many opportunities to straight up kill them. He is telekinetic. And you see it in that final showdown with him and Doc, where Doc is shooting at him and he's just like wiping the bullets away. And then he brings one back around and shoots it at Doc. But he doesn't aim it at Wynonna. Clearly he wants Wynonna dead because he sets the whole townspeople on them. But like, he's not willing to do it himself, which is like so weird. And maybe that's just the writing of like, we can't have the hero die immediately by the villain. But it just always feels like he has chances that he doesn't take. And Waverly calls out that he was the guy who wrote that letter to Wyatt in the previous episode, that they like used to be friends and he used to be someone else. And so you just start to wonder, like, he's conflicted maybe in a way that the other Revenants really aren't.
Yeah, I thought they were going to explore that some more, but I guess not.
She sure did shoot him in the face, yeah.
She busted a cap in him. Maybe some plot shenanigans will happen and he'll be back. Or like a flashback or something. But small tangent about
we got time.
Stakes. With these kind of shows, I try to like set my expectations of like, the hero is not going to die. Unless it's the series finale, hero's not going to die. Because the stakes are never real in these kind of shows. Because like you said, Bobo could have just killed Wynonna so many times. And I mean, I think that's fine if that's the show, but I think that sometimes it falls on its face when there's supposed to be moments where we feel like the hero overcame these great odds. And it's like, I mean, the bumpers were up the whole time of the plot protecting you. So thankfully, I didn't really feel that way with this show. So all that to say that I think that that final showdown with Bobo to me felt like, even though he had the opportunity to kill Wynonna, he cared more about escaping with Willa than like messing around with them. I thought it was interesting that like when she made it across, the way they had been selling it at first, and also like they'll do a little bit of retconning in this finale here, but the way they were selling it is like if the heir willingly crosses with a Revenant, it breaks the curse or whatever. And so when Bobo was like, you go ahead, I was like, I thought that they had to be together for it to work. And so that was confusing. And then they crossed in the beginning of the episode. It was like, oh, we need the gun. And I was like, here comes the plot, lowering the stakes. But I don't know. I get it. It's expensive. They have sets they can reuse with keeping the characters in the same town.
Yes.
I get it. But at the same time, it's like you kind of wrote yourself into a corner.
I mean, yes, and I think that like you have to have the gun to be the heir is kind of like silly, but you see that Peacemaker doesn't work for Willa in the end.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. And I think Waverly said something about like, if you cross the threshold of hate in your heart or something like that. And so I think it was one of those kind of things. Right. It felt to me like one of those kind of things. Like she's not the,
I mean, she isn't the heir anymore because she broke the heir's promise to kill the Revenants, I guess. I also think that it was like she could free a Revenant if she crossed with them all together. But I do think that somebody said that the Ghost River Triangle is both a prison and like a sanctuary or like and a defense or something. And so it feels like maybe it's if Peacemaker is the key sort of situation. So maybe the Revenants couldn't leave, but it was opening some other door because then you see like a spooky monster creature, a tentacle guy.
Yeah, right. Like an eldritch
so like
horror
clearly there's something more going on, and clearly leaving the Ghost River Triangle with Peacemaker makes something bad happen.
In the very end, first of all, the showdown with Wynonna and with Willa, I thought that was really powerful. The moment where Wynonna pulls Peacemaker out and like the flames on the gun are usually orange and they were blue. And I was like, oh, that's weird. I wonder what's happening. I thought she was going to shoot the monster.
But
and she shot Willa. I was shook. I was like, oh, she just domed her sister. Holy smokes.
Well, to be fair, her sister was about to
coming.
be eaten by a tentacle creature. And at that point, it was mercy.
Right, like a mercy killing. But I mean, but still, she killed her. Because I was like, well, because Doll shot her. And then truly, she seemed like she was unfazed by getting shot. And so I was like, okay, maybe that doesn't work on her or something. And so when the creature had her, I was like, okay, Wynonna will shoot the creature and like save her or something like that, and they'll redeem her, or like she'll die in Wynonna's arms. But it's like, nope. Wynonna just did her in, and the creature ate her. And I was like, dang, that's some horror movie level stuff. I was really shocked and kind of happy that they went there. It was cool to see that like Wynonna was, even in the end, she was like trying to take care of her sister.
It's very clear that Wynonna's strength is her heart and the way that she cares about people, even if she has been mistreated for that trust in the past, right? She has every reason to not care about these town people, to not care about her family, to not care about the revenants. She had said something earlier, if there's one thing I've learned this year, it's that good is a moving target, which I thought was a really great line for her, just being like, listen, I thought I knew what doing the right thing was, but I'm not sure anymore. But like, I don't want people to get hurt, and I know that that's the better thing to do. And so in that moment, she knew that shooting Willa was the better option, and like, it hurt her to do it. Obviously, she has carried so much guilt about shooting her father, and now to like be the one responsible for Willa's death, but knowing it's the merciful thing to do, it's the right thing to do. And Dolls missed. Doc was like, good shot, and he was like, I missed. Or like, clean shot, and he was like, it really wasn't, because she was still alive.
He said it wasn't, and I was like, I thought he was
trying
I was
to
really
kill
confused
her.
by that, but okay. Because I thought she was bleeding.
She was bleeding in the stomach. He missed like her heart.
Oh, okay.
Like he wanted to kill her, right? The point was not to wound her. The point was to kill her. And when they were like, that was a clean shot, and he was like, it really wasn't. It's because she was still standing and still alive.
Oh, I see. Okay.
At least I think so.
When Dolls shot her, I was surprised. Well, I kind of figured he would show up because I was like, first of all, him betraying the Black Badge, about time. That took way too long. I feel like that should have happened mid-season.
I mean, he already did. He started lying for Wynonna mid-season.
Yeah, but I guess I meant like...
He was in small rebellions.
With him and his boss, like kind of having it out. I feel like that should have happened sooner because we don't really have a moment. Dolls is always using Black Badge as an excuse. And so him kind of having to be on his own as like an individual, we didn't really have that time with him because we get to see like what is Doc like when he's pretending to be with the Revenants.
Right.
And then when he loses everything after defeating the Stone Witch and his purpose for living of revenge is over, we get to kind of see him form his own identity. We never got that with Dolls. And I feel like in the end, it's like, well, obviously he's going to show up and I guess they'll set up for future seasons. And he feels like the main, like, let's drag this out, will they, won't they love interest character for these kind of shows. But like I said, I need a lot more from Dolls. I'm not getting it right now.
What we did get was mystery drugs. We got a gunshot wound that when he took some drugs, he seemed to shake off immediately.
He said something to Doc in the safe room. Doc was like, something about being a druggie. And he's like, no, like, I mean, he said something like, that keeps me alive.
It helps keep me alive and some parts of me dead.
Oh, I misheard that last part because I thought he said it helps keep me alive and like bring back parts of me that were dead.
No.
Okay, because I was
he
like,
says
oh, he's a
it keeps
zombie.
me alive and some parts of me dead.
Gotcha. Okay, well then he's a werewolf.
Oh my
I was like, he's either a zombie or a werewolf. I misheard the line, so I thought he was a zombie, which would be weird, but a werewolf makes more sense. I mean, werewolf boyfriend, right? It's the...
Werewolf boyfriend. Only if he turns into a wolf. That's part of the appeal.
Not a dog either, like a wolf.
I mean, it could be a dog. I don't care. Listen, I've described werewolf boyfriend before. The point is that you have a pet that will also take itself to the bathroom and will feed itself because he's also a human man, but you also have a boyfriend. And again, could be gender neutral, could be werewolf boyfriend, could be a girlfriend, just as long as they have some sort of animal pet form as well as a human form. Here's the thing, you don't want to date the animal. That's insane. You want to have a boyfriend who is both your boyfriend, a partner, and a pet. Because you takes all of the stress out of the pet having. Like, you could still pet a dog or a wolf and cuddle up with a little dog wolf and have a nice little friend. But also, you don't have to pick up his poop because he knows how to use the toilet.
Does Beast Boy count as a werewolf boyfriend then?
Yeah. Actually, Beast Boy would 100% count as a werewolf boyfriend.
So he's like the definition of werewolf boyfriend.
I mean... Did I love Beast Boy as a child? Of course. Did I love the Beast from Beauty and the Beast? Obviously.
He can't turn back into a beast. He's either a beast or a human.
Yeah, but the beast form is sort of like mid-shift werewolf. Did he have bad table manners? Yes, but you could still pet his fur, and he knows how to use his own bathroom. So, like, it's sort of like, yeah, it's a compromise. Werewolf boyfriend is the beast from Beauty and the Beast. You're like, it checks most of the boxes, even if he can't shift back and forth. You could pet his little fur, watch out for the horns.
Watch out for the
table
horns.
manners could be improved, and they do. He knows how to read a book eventually. He does use his own bathroom, so that's good. And honestly, he's a prince, so like that's also good. He's got the money, he's got the house, the library. Anyway, this is not what the point of this was. The point was Dolls has a secret, and then I love Doc just like pocketing the drugs and then being like, I had a horse called Lavender once, and then just like shooting him up.
Yes, that was such a good moment. It also reminded me of like, sometimes it shows characters' accents will come and go. Natasha Romanoff. No shade to Scarlett Johansson. She's amazing, but...
Shade.
But
Shade
that accent,
from Carmen.
though. Where the accent at? So anyway, Doc does the Southern dialect so well. And I feel like there are so many little Easter eggs from like Westerns and other things in the genre. And like that line and like that moment felt very like Western anti-hero character, you know?
Yeah. I had a horse called Lavender once. God, I love you, Doc. Doc, I love you.
Yeah, he's great. And then some kind of transformation happens to Dolls, and he goes and lays a smack down on a bunch of people.
Throws a man out a window.
Yeah, twice.
It also does seem to wear him out, though, because by the time Wynonna shows up, his eyes are back to normal, and he's, like, staggered by his bullet wound again.
Of course, like any good magic girl transformation.
Yes.
It only lasts a short amount of time.
And your love interest can never see it, yeah. Until the most traumatic time.
What we're saying is that he's Tuxedo Mask and she's Sailor Moon.
He shows up, is no help whatsoever, and then leaves.
Away!
Away, Tuxedo Mask.
In the first episode, he shows up, he mansplains how to save the day to her, and then leaves.
Yeah, I mean, he does.
But anyway, back to Wynonna Earp. So...
I thought you meant that's what Dolls does. Dolls also
does. Tuxedo Mask, but Dolls also does that.
Dolls shows up and is like, we're hunting demons, and I'm the expert, but you can kill them. And she's like, okay, fine. But you don't listen to me when I say that they don't die from regular bullets, so whatever.
Truly, she's hunting demons, and he's here to help.
And he's there to help, I guess?
To be in the way, the damsel, yeah.
Yeah.
What else happened? So Waverly stole Peacemaker from Willa.
Yeah, because she's perfect and perceptive.
I will say, now, before I say this, let me caveat it by saying, from the beginning, Waverly's been my favorite character. However, she has fallen into the smart character trope. At the very end, she sticks her finger in the black goo. And I'm like, girl, where you headed? Come on now. She wasn't there to see the monster, but come on.
She wasn't there.
I know, but like there's demons around and your sister has a gun that sends people to hell and there's a puddle of black goop and you're going to put your finger in it? At least get a stick or something.
Okay, but to be fair to Waverly, it was a bad decision, obviously, but to be fair to Waverly, she has only known demons. She has not known about weird goop powers. It's not normal to see a big puddle of goop and to touch it. Like, it could have been oil, right? Like, she wasn't thinking.
Is there, like, food, and I don't know what kind of food it is? I'm not touching it. I might inspect it.
That's
There's a
fair.
weird bug. I'm not going to touch it.
Yeah, she did touch
Yeah,
goop.
you're supposed to be the smart one, Waverly.
That is true.
But, I mean, I will say that, like, the ending of her pulling the gun out and seemingly shooting Wynonna was interesting. I think that was a really clever way to end the season.
Big cliffhanger?
Yeah. And then they don't get picked up for season 2. It's like, well, she's dead.
Well, that's what happened. Yeah.
Show's over, folks.
But there was a lot of Waverly development as well in this episode. Waverly immediately distrusts Willa and then gets kidnapped by Chrissy. She gets outed in that scene.
Oh, I have a question. Is Chrissy the character who is at her house during the party?
Yes. They had that conversation together. Chrissy was the one who wasn't that mean to her.
Gotcha, okay. I couldn't remember.
Yes, because the other one died. But yes, it was Chrissy because it's Nedley's daughter. And that's why I want to go back to Waverly, but later on, Wynonna says to Nedley, by the way, Chrissy's alive, she's in your office. And he's like, thank you for that, Wynonna. Like, that is his daughter.
Okay.
I want to talk about Nedley also, but let's finish with Waverly. We can end on the high note of Nedley. So Waverly gets kidnapped. Willa does not like Waverly, does not care for her, has no sisterly feelings for her whatsoever. I guess a little bit more for Wynonna, but like none for Waverly. And then Wynonna is surprised, but is like not upset at all about Waverly dating Nicole, even though she gets outed immediately by Willa being a monster. And then Willa shoots Nicole.
Oh my gosh.
Like,
when that happened, first of all, I was like, come on, Wynonna. She's just going to shoot her anyway. You should know better than that by now.
That's her sister.
When she shot Nicole, I paused it and I was like, in my mind, we weren't watching it together, but I was like, Erin Fusco, if Nicole is dead, this podcast is over.
Yeah, we never recorded this episode. She came back in a different outfit after Dolls was handing out bulletproof vests. Come on.
Oh, I completely spaced on that.
She shows up while Doc and Dolls are raiding Dolls' weapons safe. She shows up and she's like, what's going on? I know something's wrong. And he's like, it's Black Badge business. I can't talk about it. And Doc is like, revenants are demons that Wyatt Earp killed when he was alive. They're infecting this town, but they can't leave the Ghost River Triangle, but Bobo's in charge of them and they're trying, and also Wynonna can kill them, and I'm Doc Holliday. Yes, that Doc Holliday. And Nicole's like, thank God. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, give me a gun.
That moment was the best moment of television because it's so frustrating when problems happen because characters don't talk to each other.
Yes.
And another reason why I don't like Dolls, -1 out of 5 of them. Thirststriker freaking Dolls.
Where he's like, I can't tell you. And Doc is like, we need help. Get help from Nicole. God, I love Doc so much. But yes, she was in that scene while Dolls was handing out bulletproof vests. So like, I don't remember how I reacted the first time it happened, but I was not very worried for her, which was excellent. But also just like Willa being like, see how you like it when people take your things. Like, Nicole is a person, not a thing. Willa, you monster. I love that Wynonna gives them a second to kiss.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, you do that. Okay, time to go.
Yeah, that was cute. Also, I will say just real quick before we jump away from Waverly and Nicole from Way Hot. In the beginning of the show, I was like, Officer Hot is a revenant. And I was on that for a while. And then Way Hot was just too good. And I was like, okay, you won me over. I'll let my guard down. But then this moment happened, and there was a brief moment when Wynonna was like, if you turn out to be a revenant after all this, and then she was like, no, I'm wearing a bulletproof vest. And I was like, that's exactly what a revenant would say.
I was so curious if you would call out that moment, because I thought you would feel such vindication when Wynonna was like, how are you still alive?
Yeah. I mean, that felt like a nice little wing chill of the fans. Like, I don't think she's a revenant. It was a cute moment, though.
But that is what a revenant would say.
Oh, and Waverly talking to Bobo.
Yep.
Oh, my gosh. And him being like, you're not an Earp.
Uh-huh.
Whoa, bro. Like, you saying adoption's not legitimate?
And we just leave it there and walk away. But this is the thing with, like, Bobo is so conflicting for me. Like, obviously the child grooming is bad. It feels like he was just sort of trapped by the writers, whatever, it's fine. Where, like, he protected Waverly from Willa because he knew Willa would shoot her.
Don't get me wrong. He has his moments. The child grooming is such a big
It's just
red
sort
flag.
of the big part. But yes, this was a scene where he was like, let me tell you the plot of what has happened. When we took her away at 13, I put her in this treehouse and I kept the other revenants away from her and made sure nothing bad happened to her. Eventually, at some point, we fell in love, but she was an adult. And then Constance took her 14 years later, which is so much time to live in a treehouse. Oh my God. Wild. Did he bring her cell phones? Or did he bring her the internet? No, probably not. Like, geez. Constance took her and removed her brain, her memories, and then used her as leverage to direct what Bobo was doing.
And put her in a cult, yeah.
For several years, and then hid her away. Well, I think she lost him to that guy. I don't remember what his name was. Jack? I don't remember. No. Joe? The guy in the woods, the cult guy.
The woods guy, yeah.
Because she lost him, right? Because Bobo was like, I need the lead. And she's like, I don't have her anymore.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So at some point in the years between Willa turning 27 and Wynonna turning 27, she was taken by Constance and lost to the cult. So there were a period of several years where she had no memories other than cult memories.
Honestly, though, I feel like the Waverly, you're not actually an Earp bomb. I think this is awesome because it sets up an interesting dynamic for the next season. But to me, it felt like so. In a good way of like, it feels like Wynonna loves Waverly because she sees her as her sister, whether or not they're blood related. And so I think it'll be interesting to see how Waverly deals with that. I mean, if she's not a demon or whatever now. And if Wynonna is still alive, then like how they kind of deal with that.
Well, I mean, the thing to remember, though, is that Waverly is the only one of the two of them who was obsessed with the Earp history. She was the Earp historian. She wanted to be the heir. She wanted to be the Earp heir, which is different from Wynonna. She was the one who knew all the family history. She's very invested in, like, we're the Earps. That's integral to her identity. I think unrelated to will Wynonna still love her if she's not an Earp, right? Like, that was, like, so central to who she was and, like, her wanting the mantle of her family. And then to just get the casual line from Bobo to be like, you're not even an Earp. And then the conversation gets cut off, like, what does that mean? Now Waverly's going to spiral of, like, of course I couldn't be because I was never special enough. I was never the heir. It's really going to break her.
That's a really good point. That just reminded me of something also, just quickly. I feel like at some point they said Bobo was Waverly's imaginary friend.
Yes.
And I feel like that would have been, again, about the child grooming thing, I feel like that would have been a more interesting way for him to be like connected to the Earps and eventually lead him to Willa than like, I don't know, just the final scene with the two of them. I was like, that's interesting, but the grooming thing was looming over that.
But Willa didn't even care about him at the end.
No, not even.
Willa was like, I was just using you. It does not matter. I don't care, actually. I'm burning purgatory to the ground. I don't care if I release demons to the world doing it.
But we're almost out of time. So since we're at the end of the season, I want to try to do something different.
Oh my God, you didn't prep me for this.
We did not prep this. This is on the fly. I just had this idea.
Off the cuff from Carmen.
Going live. Well, I guess I have to do it because you've seen it already. Because I was going to say predictions for next season.
Oh, I have a good prediction, but I can't tell you about it because it's a spoiler.
Because it's exactly what happens.
Because I know exactly what happens. And honestly, didn't remember that it was season 2 that this happens in, but it definitely is.
Ooh.
But tell me your predictions, Carmen. I would love to hear some more.
Gotcha. Here it is. So season 2, episode 1 kicks off. Waverly walks up to Wynonna, shoots her in the face, dead. Then the title changes, just like when it went from, well, I don't want to spoil that show for people who haven't seen it. I was about to spoil the Marvel show. I don't want to spoil that show. Title change to, I keep wanting to call her Willa. Man, the names are tripping me up. To Waverly Earp. The rest of the show is just Waverly Earp.
Is this a real prediction?
No. So my real predictions are Doc takes the bullet for Wynonna. And they have to try to figure out how to get it back. And then they have to figure out this new threat, the demons, the like monster thing, and other monsters will come, and probably the devil at some point, because it's giving me the supernatural power creep vibes, like the tentacle monster. And also, Bobo mentioned to Juan Carlo that he's only allowed to watch and not to interfere. It makes me feel like he's supposed to be like an angel or some kind of mess like that. So I imagine we'll probably see some people come into purgatory for refuge, like you mentioned. So to recap, because that was a lot of word soup, Waverly is getting some kind of new connection to the new threat. There will be people coming to purgatory for refuge who are like kind of the opposites of the revenants. I think that they're going to do like 1 or 2 episodes where they like go off to help dolls and they'll discover his true identity, his like monster form. And then I think Doc will have some kind of ticking clock because he takes a shot for Wynonna in the beginning. And they'll have to do something to save him, which will kind of bring back around the Stone Witch plot of him being immortal. He'll probably get turned into a human or some shit like that.
Wow. Okay.
Were you writing that down?
Yeah, I wrote them down for you.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Okay.
So we can come back to it. Yeah. You think it's going to be Waverly Earp and Wynonna dies, but that's a joke. Waverly is connected to the new threat. People come to purgatory for refuge. Doc will take a bullet for Wynonna, which creates some sort of ticking clock for the next season. They're going to figure out this weird monster thing and the devil probably at some point. Because of what Bobo said to Juan Carlo, you think Juan Carlo is like an angel or something. And then you figure out Doll's monster form at some point.
Heck yeah.
All right.
And you know what? We want to know what you guys think.
Yeah. If you haven't seen season 2, no spoilers for Carmen. If you have not seen season 2 or beyond of Wynonna Earp, give us your predictions. Let us know what you're thinking about.
So before we wrap up, Erin, I gotta ask, do you still love it?
I love this show. This was such a great season. And my parting words are Doc calls Wynonna love. And it was so cute. And I replayed that part of the episode. I went back immediately after he said it. I went back and I was like, let's hear you say that again.
Oh, yeah, he does say that. I forgot about that.
It was adorable. And Doc is perfect and I love him. And I love Wynonna and she's my beautiful angel. And the show is great. But what I really want to know, Carmen, is do you love it yet?
Dude, I freaking love Wynonna Earp. At the start of the show, I was like, all right, here we go, some CW camp. But it really hooked me in the pilot. And I'm in love with these characters now. I'm invested in their journeys. And the first season, the finale was really strong. And so I'm excited to see what happens in season 2.
You love to hear it. You love to hear it, folks.
You love it, folks. If you love it, be sure to let us know. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a review. We would really appreciate it. Tell us what you thought on our socials. Also, thank you so much for going on this journey with us this season. We had so much fun talking about the first season of Wynonna Earp with you.
We did.
And we hope that you come back and join us for season 2 of Wynonna Earp. Just remember that we should probably say this. Our show is structured a little differently. So we're going to do a little bit of a palate cleanser before we jump into season 2 of Wynonna Earp. And for the second season of our show, Take This TV, we're going to be watching the first season of Arcane.
And now we have to release these in the order that we've just said because Carmen committed to it.
I'm throwing down the gauntlet. We committed to
The point is to watch TV that we love and talk about it. It's a TV book club, television book club. So I got to pick a show that I love that I'm introducing Carmen to. And then we're going to watch something that we both love. Jump back to Wynonna Earp because Carmen will never let me not watch this. If we don't finish this, Carmen will die. And then at some point in the future, we'll alternate with a show that Carmen has seen and loved and that I have not seen. That's our plan anyway. Let us know what you think. If you're like, that's stupid, I only want to talk about what Erin likes for TV, that's also fine. But let us know. And thank you for watching along with us.
Yes, thank you so much for watching and welcome to the club. And remember, it's dangerous to watch TV alone.
Goodbye.
Bye.